Hi everyone, welcome to today's edition of Migrating MySQL data to Cloud SQL using Database Migration Service. For today, we are exploring migrating to Cloud SQL from Amazon Popular RDS for MySQL using Database Migration Services. So as usual, before we dive in, let's start our lab. So I'm starting my lab and I'm going to go over this check to show I'm not a robot. So as I would open my GCP console in an incognito window, and I'll copy my password. My username is copied automatically. Then sign in with my password. Then understand. Signing into my Google dashboard. And here is my Google Cloud Console loading for me. Here's my Google Cloud Console. The next thing I want to do is an overview of this lab is we are using database migration service. It provides an option for one-time and continuous job to migrate data from Cloud SQL using different connectivity options like IP, allowlist, VPC peering, reverse SSH tunnels, and you can also check more about the various connectivity options that we have. But for this lab, what we'll be doing is that we'll migrate the MySQL database from Amazon RDS instance for MySQL to Cloud SQL. So for MySQL, we would use a one-time database migration job and an IP allow list for connectivity. And you'll notice that after we create and run the job, we'd also check the database that has been successfully migrated to Cloud SQL for MySQL instance. So let's continue. Here are just some of the objectives. You can take a look at it. Yeah, so this is the setup. We'll get to that as we move on. Yeah, so let's start our lab by first activating our Cloud Shell and authorizing the necessary credentials. So you can just agree to this, accept the term of service. After that, you activate your Cloud Shell. My Cloud Shell is activated. I'm waiting for it to provision the necessary instance. Continue. So you can see it's provisioning my Cloud Shell machine. And after it starts provisioning my Cloud Shell machine, it will also connect to my Cloud Shell instance. So I'll use this command to activate the account name, the gcloud uplift, then I'll authorize this. So after that, I would also show my project ID with the gcloud config list project. So here's the project ID, there's the account name and everything. So we are good. The next thing we want to do is we want to verify that the database migration API is actually enabled. And to do that, you can just copy this database migration and paste. So when you paste it, you'd see this. This is the API. You can see the type is an API. So you click on it and we'll make sure it is. So I have to enable this API by clicking enable. Yeah, so you can see that I've enabled this API and that is why I have an option to disable. If I've not enabled it, I cannot have an option to disable. And that's for that. So the next thing we want to do is we want to install a command line utility to identify IP address. And to do that, we'll be using we'd have to like also set the parameters for the AWS instance that we are also trying to get from. So some AWS resources have been provisioned for us automatically through this lab, and we'll be using them in our configurations along the line. So to install dig in a Cloud Shell, we'll use this command. Paste this in your Cloud Shell. So it's installing the necessary configuration for us. It may take a while, but when it's done, we would know. So you can also drag this up to have more visibility into your Cloud Shell. So it's done. 0 upgraded, 0 name installed, 0 to remove, and 11 upgraded. So it means that it was automatically installed and it installed the latest version. Okay, that's good. So the next thing we want to do is we want to obtain the IP address of our Amazon RDS instance. And to do that, we have to replace this host name with, so when you take a look at this AWS RDS database, the source. So the source is in this format, something like this format. But before you can use it as the host name, you have to clear out this part, everything from this place to this, and you also have to clear out all these parts. So these are the two parts you clear out when you want to use it as your host name. So I'm just also going to do that. Copy the dig host name, then replace this. Then copy my AWS RDS database source. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open a new browser here, paste this here, and clear out the necessary parts that I want to clear out. So I'll clear out this part, and I'm also going to clear out everything from here, clear them out. So I can now copy this. I'm going to copy this and replace that with my host name. So after I've replaced this, then I can click on enter. So you can see this is my configuration for this. And the part that I need here is this answer section. After this part, I just need the numbers or the values that are here, this in A. So take a look at it. This is my in A, authority here. So you can also like run it again if you are not sure of what's happening at the moment. So maybe I'll just do that to have more visibility into it. Okay, no, so there's something wrong with what I'm doing. So it's copying the HTTPS address with this, and the HTTP address is not supposed to show. So that's because I copied it from the browser, and the browser automatically had the HTTPS. So I'm just going to remove it. So this is the part that I need. So please take note. This just this address, and the .com should also show. And you can see it from here. So you can see it. These are something that we need, and the .com should also show. So I can strike on enter now, and you can see that it's giving me what I want. So before it's messing it up a bit, and this is the value that I need. This is the IP address that I need. This part. So I'm just going to copy it out and maybe save it in a new browser tab here, so that when I need it, I can come for it. So that's fine. The next thing we want to do, and the instruction is to note this IP address because we'll be using it continuously in this lab. So I've noted mine also. So for the first task, we want to install and configure the AWS CLI tool in the Cloud Shell. And to install the AWS CLI tool on Cloud Shell, we use this command. We use the call command to get the tool, and would unzip it and you see the install. Okay, so let's just install everything. Click on enter. So it's going to automatically install everything, unzip it and get it configured. So let's wait till it's done. Okay, it's done now. And the next thing we want to do is we want to configure the AWS CLI tool in Cloud Shell also. So let's configure our AWS the command line. And for the AWS access key ID, so the instruction asks us to use this AWS access key. This is our AWS access key. So just copy this, paste it here, click on enter. For the AWS secret access key, the instruction asks us to use the AWS secret key. So paste it here. So, and for the default region, we are just using a US East one. So I'm just going to use the same thing here also. And for the default option, so I don't want to use a value, so I'm just going to strike on enter after that. It's not going to set any default value, and that's fine. I've configured the necessary CLI tool for AWS on our Google Cloud Shell. So for task 2, we have to create a new connection profile for the Amazon RDS instance for MySQL. And to create a new connection profile, we have to go to the database migration from our navigation menu, then go to connection profile. So you can use your navigation menu from here. Let's look for database migration. Under more products, you can keep scrolling down, and we have database migration under databases. and we are going to the connection profile. Let's click on that. We'll wait for it to get configured. Let's see. So here's our connection profile. We want to create a new profile. So we'll click on create profile. After creating profile, let's follow the instruction. For our source database, we are using from Amazon RDS for MySQL. So this is for the connection name, we are using this. Paste it here. For the profile ID, we are using the default. For the host name, we are supposed to use the IP address that we saved the other time, and this is the IP address that I saved here. Let's copy this, paste it here. That's fine. For the port 3306, that's already used default. For the username, we are using admin, and for the dummy password that we are using here, we are just using change me. Let's see. So if you are setting this up for your organization, you typically not use a password as simple as this. You would use a password that suits what you need. Okay. So for the region, we have to select the US Central one lower. So I'm just going to choose the US Central one lower. And for the encryption type, we can select none. None is selected by default. Thereafter, we can create our connection profile. So let's create it. And you can see that it's creating at the moment. Check this thing so you can see that it works. So you can see that it works, and when we check our connection. So for task 3 is to create a one-time migration job. And when we want to create a one-time migration job, also from our database migration, then we'll select the migration jobs criteria and create a one-time migration job that I'll be using. So just from the left-hand side, click on migration jobs. After clicking on migration jobs, then we have to create a new migration job. It's a one-time migration job. For the name, we'll be using RDS to Cloud SQL because the data is on RDS at the moment, and we want to move it to our Cloud SQL. For the migration ID, we'll keep the auto-generated value. We'll choose an Amazon RDS to MySQL because that is our source database engine. So it's on Amazon RDS currently. And our destination is Cloud SQL for MySQL, just as you know. For destination region, we are choosing a US Central one lower. For the migration job type, we are also using a one time. So it's a one time, just like a batch load, a one time, not a continuous like a streaming one. So we leave the other default settings as usual, and we can say save and continue. Under get started. So under defining a source, we'll also select our source. So for the source here, our source connection profile will be MySQL RDS, the one we created before. And yes, we'll save and continue also. So after saving out, under choosing a destination, so when you move up a bit, we have our destination parameter here. The destination ID is MySQL to Cloud SQL. So just include this, it's MySQL to Cloud SQL. For our root password, we're just going to use super secret. So make sure you change it if you are using it for an organization or something. For the database version, we are told to choose Cloud SQL for MySQL 5.7. Yeah, for the zone, any, I leave this part here. So you can use the multiple zones. And under this one, we use a public IP. Under the machine type, we are using a standard. So from machine type, we are choosing standard. And we are using one virtual CPUs and 3.75 gigabytes. We use an SSD and we use a storage capacity of 10 gigabytes. So yeah, after that, you can confirm that it is as set or as recommended. So thereafter, you click on create and continue and create destination and continue. Let's create our destination source. Then the next thing we want to do is we also want to define the connectivity method. You know, when we talked about what we are going to do in this lab, we said we'll pick how we want to move, then we'll pick the kind of connectivity method that we are using. And we also mentioned that the connectivity method we'll be using for this lab is IP allow list. So this is where we'd set it. Under our connectivity method, we choose the IP allow list. So there's a reverse SSH tunnel, there's a VPC pairing. But what we're using here is IP allow list. And it's going to set up some destination outgoing IP address for us. So we just have to wait for it till it gets our IP configured for us. I'll probably fast forward this and see you at the end. Here we are, our destination outgoing IP addresses have been configured for us. So it took a while before it got here. It may be faster for you depending on how fast your network is or sort, but it typically takes time. So I'll just copy everything. I'm going to save them in a new tab also. So I have two destination IP addresses here, which is fine for the destination outgoing IP address. So the next thing I want to do, I can check my progress. So I've also completed this task. For task 4, we want to configure the IP allow list on the source instance. And we'll typically have to do that on the AWS CLI. Don't forget that we've brought our AWS command line interface to our Cloud Shell. So we are using this command. We are using this command here. And we have to replace this group ID with um, the AWS RDS database security group. So we are replacing this thing here, this part, from this to here. We are replacing it with the AWS RDS database security group. And under the CIDR, we have to use our destination outgoing IP addresses. So in this case, it is 2, so we'll run the command twice. So I'm just going to copy this command, and because I have to edit a lot of things, I'm just going to edit it on my notes, and after that I'll copy it and paste it there back. So for my group ID, I forget, delete this, and then copy the AWS RDS security group. So paste it there, replace it with that. And for the CIDR, it is one of my destination outgoing IP address. So I'll go back to where I saved them. Just copy one of them. And let me copy the first one first. Does not matter which you copy first. Just trying to do it in order. Paste it here. Make sure it's as supposed. Then you can copy everything. Paste a new one also, so that you can do for the second one and copy it one by one. So under this one, this still remains the same. It's only the CIDR that changes. Now I'm going to copy the second one, copy this, replace this with this. So I'd paste this one first before the second one. Make sure you copy it only and don't copy extra white spaces. So go back to my Cloud Shell. My Cloud Shell, drag it up a little bit. Then from here, I paste this command, click on enter. It has configured this. Copy the second one also. Copy. Come to my Cloud Shell and paste it here. It has also configured for both IP address. So let's continue following the instruction. And after that, we can even configure we can check if we've configured the IP allow list. So let's see if we've done that. And you can see that we've done that. So if you only do from one IP address, it's not going to work. You have to do for both of them. If it's assigned two IP address for you, but if it's assigned just one, then you do from one. So for task 5, we have to test and run the one-time migration job. So from here we can just going to bring this down, then save and continue for the connectivity method. Then under this, let's test it at first. Let's see if it works. Let's test our migration job. Here we are testing our migration job. So yeah, it works. So the next thing you can do is you can create and start the job. So let's create and start the job. You can create and start. So it's going to create the job and it should start the job automatically. So it may also take a while before it gets started. So you can see it's starting. You can be checking the status here. So I'll fast forward it and see at the end when it's in the final status. So it will move to different status along the line. And you can see some of the statuses that it's going to move. It's going to move to not started, to starting, then to completed. So when it's completed, that is when this will check out. So currently we are on starting. So if I click on this, it's not going to check out. So it's not going to check out. So you can see I have to wait till it gets to completed. So just going to see you at the end. Hello. So now it's completed. So it took a lot of time for this thing to get completed. Yours may not take as long as this, but it took over 30 minutes for this to get completed. I've done it before that it took over just 6 minutes, but this took over 30 minutes. Not sure the reason why. So now we can check our progress and you can see this. So for task 7, we want to confirm that the data in the Cloud SQL for MySQL. So to confirm that, we have to go to our Cloud SQL and see if we can see the data there. So under databases, just scroll down. This is probably where we are going. So I can just enter from here SQL. And let it for it to load. And this is it. This is MySQL. Then you can click on this, just clicking on it. These are just some of the configurations of the database that we are clicking. So we are supposed to go to the primary instance and go to databases. So this is our primary instance menu. This is database. And you can see now the data are populated. So we have the customer data, information schema, everything. And this shows that our data has been migrated. So fine. So the next thing, we want to connect to our MySQL database that we have already. So to connect to it, we'll use this command line. And to access this from this overview, we have to like SSH into the database or just navigate into the database. So from here, we just say from the information here, we would open the database and say open Cloud Share. Just going to that, provision our Cloud Share machine once again and connect to our Cloud Share instance. And after that, you can paste this command. This Yeah, so if you open your Cloud Shell through that route, it's supposed to automatically copy the code for you. So I can click on enter, authorize this. Let's wait for it as it allow list my IP for some minutes. We are still going to wait for it to get set up. Yeah, so now we want to enter our password, and the password that we used before was super secret. So paste it here, click on enter. So now we are on our MySQL database, and now we can access those databases that we've seen previously. So let's enter into the customer data database. So just the MySQL command to enter into a database is to specify use the database. So now we'll say use the database. So after using the database, so and you can see that the database has changed here. So if you are familiar with SQL, this is just to select the count of everything from this database customer. So let's see how many records are in the customer database. And inside we have 5,030 records inside this table or inside this database. It's fine. So and that's the total amount of record that was migrated from the Amazon RDS to That's fine. After that, you can exit the interactive shell and you can check if we've completed this. So this shows that we've completed everything and we've successfully migrated data from our Amazon RDS to our Cloud SQL for MySQL. So we check a look at all the tasks, we've completed everything. So thanks very much for staying through to the end of this lab. And an overview of what we've done is that we migrated MySQL data to the Cloud SQL using the database. And we were migrating from Cloud SQL for Amazon RDS for MySQL using the database migration services. And like I said, some of the processes in this lab are quite long and they may take a whole lot of time while you're doing it. So just make sure you are patient and you are doing it as you're supposed to do. And invariably, you still get the final results. So thanks very much for staying through. If you enjoyed this lab, like it, comment your thoughts in the comment section, share with your loved ones, and see you in the next lab. Bye for now.